Have you ever felt like your mind never stops? Every moment, every feeling, every silence brings a hidden truth just for you. This is awareness that never rests. It exposes everything. Every hesitation in someone's voice. Every subtle shift in posture. Every invisible tension hiding beneath ordinary conversations. Even when you are tired. Even when you wish you could simply exist without analyzing, most people move through life with selective attention. They see what is necessary and let the rest blur into the background. Their nervous system knows how to dim the lights, but some minds never learn that setting. For you, awareness is constant. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't pause when you're overwhelmed. It just keeps observing, and what looks like intelligence from the outside often feels like overstimulation from within. When you are deeply aware, you don't just experience life. You monitor it. You detect emotional shifts before they are acknowledged. You sense when something is slightly off long before it becomes visible. Even silence carries information. It isn't that you enjoy overthinking, it's that your system doesn't know how to stop scanning. And here's the part people misunderstand. This level of awareness is not always a blessing. Sometimes it is simply a nervous system that learned to stay alert and never received the message that it is safe to rest. For the hyper-aware mind, life becomes layered. Every interaction contains a second dimension. You hear the words someone says, but you also register the pause before they said them. You notice when a smile disappears half a second too quickly. You sense what wasn't written in the message as strongly as what was. Other people remain inside the moment. You are both inside it and outside it. One part of you participates. The other evaluates. Conversations turn into quiet puzzles. Not because you distrust people, but because your brain automatically searches for patterns. If something changes, you assume there must be a reason. So you look for it. You replay it. You dissect it. It feels responsible, mature, careful, but slowly, analysis begins to replace presence. You become so focused on interpreting life that you forget to fully live it. There is also another layer to this awareness. You observe yourself. Psychologists call this metacognition, thinking about your thinking. For many people, it appears occasionally. For you, it rarely leaves. You don't just feel sad. You immediately analyze why you feel sad. You evaluate whether the sadness makes sense. You question if it's appropriate. You examine what it reveals about you. Even happiness doesn't escape this scrutiny. You can feel joy and simultaneously step outside it, wondering how long it will last or what might interrupt it. It's like trying to enjoy music while constantly adjusting the volume. You refine the experience, but you struggle to surrender to it. Over time, this creates distance. You are half participant, half commentator. Your emotions are filtered before they're allowed to fully land. Spontaneity decreases. Everything is processed, and what began as self-awareness quietly becomes self-interruption. At some point, awareness also reveals uncomfortable truths. You begin noticing the inconsistencies in human behavior. The way confidence sometimes hides insecurity. The way affection can coexist with fear. The way kindness occasionally carries unspoken conditions. You don't become cynical, you simply see complexity, but seeing complexity can create a quiet grief. It becomes harder to take things at face value. Compliments feel layered. Apologies feel partial. Promises sound fragile even when they are sincere. You understand that most conversations contain misinterpretation. That people project their wounds without realizing it. That communication is rarely as simple as it appears. This insight is accurate, but it can feel isolating. Because when you see the strings behind the performance, you no longer experience the performance the same way. And even when the moment is beautiful, part of you understands how easily it could unravel. Empathy intensifies this further. For deeply aware individuals, empathy is not optional. It is automatic. You feel shifts in energy before words are spoken. You notice tension in someone's breathing. You sense discomfort that others might overlook. This is often described as cognitive empathy, the ability to understand someone's internal state. But for you, it often becomes emotional absorption. Other people's feelings don't stop at your awareness. They move into your body. A tense room tightens your chest. A friend's sadness lingers with you long after the conversation ends. From the outside, you seem composed and emotionally intelligent. People feel safe around you because you understand them quickly. But there is a hidden cost. When you are always tuned into everyone else's emotional frequency, you begin carrying emotions that were never yours. You regulate the room. You soften conflict. You anticipate discomfort, and while this looks like strength, it can become exhausting. Because when you are the one who understands everyone, People rarely ask if you need understanding too. Awareness also lives in the body. Some nervous systems are highly sensitive to internal signals. You notice your heartbeat shift before anxiety becomes conscious. You feel subtle tension before a thought forms. Small bodily sensations immediately register as meaningful. This sensitivity developed to protect you. But without boundaries, it can turn into anxiety. Every sensation becomes data. Every flutter feels like a warning. Your mind begins interpreting neutral signals as potential threats. A loop forms. Sensation triggers interpretation. Interpretation creates tension. Tension amplifies sensation, and suddenly, your body feels loud. The truth is, this awareness did not appear randomly. For many people, it began as adaptation. In childhood environments where emotions were unpredictable or safety depended on reading subtle cues, awareness was necessary. You may have learned to scan rooms automatically, to anticipate moods, to adjust your behavior before conflict emerged. Your brain became skilled at prediction because prediction meant protection. Over time, vigilance transformed into identity. You began calling yourself thoughtful, responsible, perceptive. But what once kept you safe does not always know when to stop, even in stable environments. Your system continues scanning as if something could shift at any moment. That is why you feel tired, not because life is too heavy, but because your nervous system never learned that it is allowed to rest. At some stage, awareness subtly becomes control. If you can anticipate what might happen, you believe you can avoid being blindsided. If you see emotional shifts early, you believe you can minimize pain. Your mind runs simulations constantly. If they pull away, you will already understand why. If something ends, you will have seen it coming. Understanding becomes armor. But armor creates distance. To stay prepared, you step slightly outside of life. You hesitate. You overconsider. You analyze every possible outcome before acting. This leads to paralysis, not because you lack courage, but because you care deeply and want to avoid regret. Ironically, the attempt to control uncertainty produces more exhaustion than uncertainty itself. Life begins to feel managed rather than lived. The solution is not to become less aware, it is to carry less. Not every silence is a hidden message. Not every emotion requires analysis. Not every insight demands action. Awareness matures when it develops boundaries. You can notice without absorbing. You can understand without taking responsibility. You can feel without dissecting. Some sensations can pass through you without becoming stories. Some emotions can move without needing explanation. This shift feels uncomfortable at first. It feels like loosening a grip that once felt protective. But gradually, something changes. You begin laughing without analyzing the reason. Listening without preparing a response. Feeling without evaluating whether it is justified. Presence returns. Awareness becomes lighter. Not because you see less, but because you stop carrying everything you see. When awareness is softened by acceptance, it turns into wisdom. You still perceive deeply. You still understand complexity. But you no longer try to control every outcome or decode every silence. You trust that not everything needs interpretation to be meaningful. Some moments are meant to be experienced, not examined. And when that shift happens, life feels less like a problem to solve and more like something you are allowed to inhabit. If any of this resonated with you, understand this: your awareness is not a flaw. It was shaped by intelligence and adaptation. Now it simply needs balance. And balance is learned, not by turning off the light, but by choosing what deserves your attention, and what can gently fade into the background. If this resonates with you, know that your awareness is not a weakness but a strength, and it can be balanced. Take the next step toward understanding and managing it. Subscribe.